Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. So it's that time of week again. It's our usual Friday night live, and this is going to be our last live for a few weeks. We're going to take a break for about 5 weeks. We're going to be away for Ramadan, so we're not going to be live during Ramadan just because it interferes with everything else that's going on. So for that reason, what this is going to be the last live until sort of the end of April. Once we get to the end of April, then we'll be back live again and we'll be um, back to normal. So I hope everyone's good. Everyone who's coming in, as usual, we're live across TikTok and across YouTube. So if you see me speaking to someone over here or someone over here, then that's the reason why. So let's see who's coming in. We've got a few people. Tariq's in, mashallah. How are you doing, brother? I hope you're keeping well. Um, Badr M, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Iki, how are you doing? Hope you're keeping well. Thanks very much for coming in. Mimi Susu joining us from Florida. Hope everything's good with you. Why your finger hurts now? See, I'm just recovering from a nasty, nasty cold thing. See, I think I had it last week when I was coming on live, but it turned into a pretty nasty cough, and I'm just getting over it now. Rob's Allotment Garden, how are you doing, Rob? Hope you're keeping well. Thanks very much for coming in. Hope everything's good with you. So finally, we're starting to get a little bit of decent weather. It wasn't is yeah, this week hasn't rained as much. It wasn't raining today, and the sun was actually out. So I got a couple of hours out clearing up some of the mess. Um, Hopefully we'll get the shed cleaned out tomorrow and make some space and maybe even get the hedges cut. And that'll be a treat. But if I'm going to get the hedges cut, then I need to have my compost piles built and ready to take all of that biomass because there's going to be absolutely tons of it, and I've got nowhere to put it without having my compost piles built. So maybe that should be the job before I clean my shed. Uh, Badarem is saying still too much rain here in Amsterdam. Also cold, flu peak all over. Haven't been able to plant de- decently. See, it's tough at the minute. I think there's something going around again, because a lot of people seem to have this nasty chest bug. Um, but my insides are actually hurting. It's hurting when I breathe now because I've been coughing so much, and it's worse when you lie down on a night. So I can be fine. I can be like this all the way through the day, and then when I lie down, then it feels like your insides are about to explode. Are we ready for those for our ghost chilies? Icky, I've had a bad season this year with my chilies. I've managed out of my overwintered plants. I've got one of my nagas that's made it. So hopefully, I'll get some good seed from that one to go forward. Um, so that's from my overwintered plants, and then I've got from my other plants um, that we've just germinated. I've only got about three naga plants, which is really really disappointing. Um, it's probably been the worst season for me for chilies. I mean, but with my other chilies, with my green chilies and with my Danu Moris and all of these kind of things, they're absolutely storming away. They're ready to pop up and start turning into big plants. Actually, um, we need to start figuring out what we're going to do with what we're going to be doing for space. Because what we used to do is we used to use the attic bedroom, but my brother's back now, so we can't just invade his bedroom anymore. And just because I used to set up a table in there with loads of plants and everything on there, but we can't do that anymore. Um, Stallion Koi, who's fighting? Who's fighting? Let us know what's going on. Um, So hopefully, Graham Bolton should be joining us tonight. He's going to grace us with his presence. He said he messaged me earlier saying he's going to come in. Anthony Joshua and Ganu. Okay. Is that on pay-per-view or what's it on? Ali wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Ramadan starts next week, so because of Ramadan, I won't be doing any lives because it's going to interfere with no, Tarawih and everything. So it's not going to be a good time to do the lives. Tea with cloves, lemon juice, and honey is a good against the cough. See, I'm having lemon juice and honey, lots of lemon juice and honey, with a bit of ginger in it. But I've not put cloves in it actually. That might be one worth trying. Yeah, Tariq, lots of ginger, honey, and lemon. That's what I've been doing, and chewing on fresh ginger. Um, Gargle with warm water. So it's not in my throat. It's down here. It's just dry down here at the moment. So it's not in my. It was in my sinuses and in my chest. It's not in my throat at all. So, Margaret, how are you doing? Thanks very much for coming in. Hope you're keeping well. Um, you and everyone from Southeast Northumberland on the East Coast. Hope you're keeping well. Ice on fire stick. Okay. I understand that. No, it's not something. It's not anything bad. It just interferes with Ramadan, so it's very difficult to do the lives during those times. Brian, how are you doing? Hope you're keeping well. Thanks very much for coming in. How's your health keeping? Grow echinacea and dry them for tea. Best thing for coughs and lungs. See, echinacea is a plant that is really pretty as well. Do you know, it's one that's absolutely amazing for bumblebees and all kinds of bees. And I did grow it until my chickens ate it. So I used to have this really cool rooster a few years ago. And he just completely devoured the plant along with. It was funny the way he'd eat my black currants because we used to grow black currants, loads of them, and I'm not a fan of black currants, but they'd grow and he'd jump up and just be gobbling down the black currants. Um, that was a cool rooster as well. He was really, really. He was He was the biggest rooster you've ever seen. He came up to my hip. He was he was really good size, really chunky guy. Um, and I think because of the size of him, he wasn't so he wasn't so aggressive either. He was really chilled out. So, right question. I recently got a Frenchie. It's messing my garden up and getting planters dumping in it, suggesting to tackle this. What's a Frenchie? So that's my first question. What is that? Uh, Derek, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, all. How are you doing, mate? Thanks very much for coming in. March, good for indoor tomato and peppers. We're in the same North European longitude rate. I normally sow my tomatoes in February because we're just sort of so short on a growing. Hello. Yeah, just because of the short growing season. Yeah, I plant a lot of my tomatoes in February just so I can get good harvests off them. We've got some planted. Ali actually sent me some seeds. I think they were purple heartthrob tomatoes that they were called, and they're the ones that we've planted so far. And I think we might have planted some red, supermarket tomatoes. But I need to get some a move on with the rest of my tomatoes. Actually, I might see if I can get some time to do that tomorrow. Uh, but yeah, tomatoes I normally sow in February. Even if they get a little bit leggy, don't worry about it. You can either bury them deep or you can grow a single plant for suckers. So if you grow one tomato plant, let it get really leggy, let it produce lots of suckers. Take those suckers and just plant them, and then you've got to jump on the season, and you're planting plants that are already established. Salika wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thanks very much for coming in. Oh, it's a French bulldog. Okay. Oh yeah. So your dog's getting into everything and messing. That made me jump then. Mashallah. Like, what just happened then? Okay. Um, so so yeah. Um, if you can get some galvanized mesh or something, or some chicken wire, just to put, just to cover them with, that a barrier protection might be good. Uh, need to keep you on your toes. That definitely kept me on my toes. That made me need to jump out my skin. I was like, what just happened? Um, so are you growing watermelon this year? Did I get some watermelon seeds? Do you know? No. I don't know. I need to check my melon seeds. I think I got some melons. I don't think they're watermelons. I think they're cantaloupe types. Cantaloupe types. And let me. I need to actually spend some time with my seeds and what I'm doing, because I'm normally I've sowed most of my plants by now. Not just chilies and tomatoes and aubergines, but this year it is just chilies, tomatoes, and aubergines. We haven't planted that many. Do you know more the TikTok? What you two are talking about now? Have you? I did a video of me leafleting right in the neighborhood, and you should see the comments in that video. It's just yeah, it's one of the most vilest racist stuff that you can see. Just have a look at more of the TikTok, and you'll see it's like the second video I did. And it's crazy. Um, and it's just literally me posting some leaflets through some letterboxes. Musti Hussein, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thanks very much for coming in. They're my number one supporters. They are. Do you know, I'm going viral for, do you know, it's not viral because I'm popular. It's viral because it's the haters that are sharing my videos. Um, Could I add you to the live? I'm not adding people to the live today, because I'm streaming off a couple of platforms. It just messes things up if on this live. I can add you to a TikTok live on my other channel if you fancy it. But let me know what you want to talk about. Um, see, Brian, small breed. So tell them to keep the dog under control. If you let them destroy the garden, it will. Use a flirt pole to tire it out. What's a flirt pole? Um, so Amira, how are you doing? Thanks very much for coming in. Hope you're keeping well. Nice beard. Um, Brian's garden, persistent UTIs. Oh, Brian, have you been ill again? Man, missed a comment from Brian. Sorry. Mm, it leaves you very confused. Am I from the UK? Yes. Yes, I am. Um, I look like Mufti Menk. But I'm prettier than he is. Um, mhm, uh, um, so where are we going? Rob, you're back. Getting greener. How are you doing? Hope you're keeping well. I'm getting there, getting there. Wasting your time with watermelon unless it's a variety UK can cater for. Do you know, a variety like Sugar Baby can do okay. Um, so they tend to do better. In the smaller dwarfing varieties, they tend to do better. Alhamdulillah, I am married and I have three children as well. Um, so yes, Alhamdulillah. Um, why have you got a nice beard? I don't know. That's just the way it grows. That's just the way it grows on my face. Uh, you'll be divorced by the end of this. I'm not rich enough for two or three or anything like that. I'm just a poor man. Um, so tomatoes done last week, already shooting up. Also, peppers are starting to poke through. In our conservatory, waiting for my greenhouse project, but we went back to 4 degrees. Derek, it's been freezing here. It's been freezing here as well. Um, the weather's just been it's just not been playing ball, but finally we got a little bit of sun today. See, Tarek's here. He's single, and hopefully, if you're ready, we can sort you out with him. He's better looking than I am. um, so we get. Uh, I'm glad to see it. Need to Mali B. I snap a stem coming out of my ginger. How dire are the consequences? Big love from the south. Where did you snap it? Right at the base or halfway up the stem? Because if it's halfway up the stem, it's not to worry about. Um, it'll be fine. It'll send out more shoots. If you've done it right at the base, the thing to worry about is if you end up with rot, because it could end up, where it's been damaged. If it's right near the tuber itself, it could end up rotting. So that's the only thing to be wary of. But your ginger will send out more than one stem anyway. It normally sends out one stem to start off with, but as it's growing and as it's getting more energy, it'll send out more stems. So I wouldn't totally give up on it. Um, totally rancid. First time I've ever managed to catch it live. Any good tips for a nice, tasty, big beef tomato variety, please? Oh, there's another one that makes me, yeah, mashallah. Um, so Purple Heartthrob is one that Ali has sent me seeds for, and they're ones that I'm trying out for the first time. And from the pictures that he sent me last year, they look absolutely, they look really pretty. But on top of that, I really like, for a good beefsteak tomato, I really like Mormande. It's a good sweet tomato. Um, yeah, it's a really good sweet tomato. I mean, it's not the most productive in the world. You'll probably easily you'll get a tomato that sort of size if you're lucky. I've had tomatoes off it just under a kilo, just one single tomato. Um, yeah, just under a kilo. I haven't topped the kilo mark yet with the tomato. But they are good tomatoes, good tasty tomatoes. Um, there's a couple of other big ones that I grow as well. Outdoor Girl is a good variety. It's supposed to be suitable for UK growing outside, and it's a good beefsteak tomato as well. It's a big tomato, but I wouldn't say it's the tastiest one in the world. Um, but if you're looking for slightly smaller tomatoes, um, go for if you like cherry tomatoes, there's one that I always recommend. It's called Sweet Million. Absolutely wonderful. It's so productive. The tomatoes are really tasty. They're really small tomatoes. They're perfect for snacking on while you're in the garden. Um, so I had some peas indoors that grew really thin, whitish, not lack of light. That's all lack of light. It just ha it just hasn't had enough light. That's what's causing the problem there. Uh, Brian's on the mend. Brian, are you getting some time in your polytunnel? Nimi B, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I'm glad you found our old videos. I hope you're enjoying them. See, some of the older ones, yeah, I've changed a lot as become more comfortable in front of the camera. If you look at probably the first year's videos, it was just like me staring into the camera like I'm some kind of serial killer. Um, but yeah, a lot of the videos got presentation style got a lot better, even though they're still raw and they're still very much home. Second wife needs a second. No, um some of these people commenting. I don't know what that noise was. Yeah, some of these people commenting. I think they were just trying to wind me up. Um, yeah. Am I a bit behind in the? It's been a bit frosty mornings. Um, how cold have you had it, Ali? I think the temperature right now is about 3 degrees outside. Of yeah. Uh, but it was actually quite pleasant. It was about 8 degrees in the sun. It was 8 degrees, and then the sun was shining, so it was almost comfortable enough to take your jacket off and walk about. um, last two leaves at the top, so so I can relax a bit. Oh, if it's the last two leaves, oh, that's all right. That's not. That's going to be okay. That's going to be okay. Um, yeah, that'll be fine. I'm sure it will. Brandywine is a good beef tomato. There's another. Yeah, yeah. Brandywine. I grew that a couple of years ago. It is a nice tomato. Uh, 1 kilo. It'll take a lot of eggs and cheese to stuff one of those. Do you know? There's a guy on our Facebook group. Um, he grows more Mondays, and he's got about one and his biggest one I think was about 1.5 kilo. So he's got some chunky tomatoes. I think my biggest one's about 900 grams. I've not got anywhere near the 1 kilo mark yet, but I'm getting there. Um, I'm just trying to think of his name. Um, James. I'm sure it's James. But he grows Marmande and he's regularly getting tomatoes over 1 kilo all the time. Realize I forgot to order any nice big ones with the seeds. We'll get some sweet million too. Did I hear you've been ill? Speedy recovery. I've just got a little cough thing, cold thing going on. Um, Tomato growers stay on top of suckers throughout and strip all leaves with your fruits. Start to redden, expect bigger fruits. See, with suckers, what I always do is I always grow certain plants, and I grow plants early just for suckers. So the harvest from those plants is specifically suckers, because then you get a plant that's maybe 3, 4 inches long that's had a all you need for that is to establish its roots, and it's an established plant. So as soon as it starts growing, it's producing fruit almost instantly. So they're things that I like to do. Just grow tomato plants just for suckers, so you can get a jump on the season. Tomato grows. So with your tomatoes, you make sauces and soups and other foods. So the cherry tomatoes don't last long because I just end up snacking on them. Started growing this new variety for it's quite a new variety that I started 2 years ago. Um, Sun Gold, it's called. And then someone suggested last year grow another one called Honeycomb. It's as tasty as Sun Gold, but with a slightly it's less prone to splitting because Sun Gold is absolutely delicious, but it splits so easily. But this honeycomb is very similar to Sun Gold, but it just doesn't split as much. Um, I grow both of them and sweet million and just snack on them all the time in the garden. Just walk around the garden, just picking them off as you go in. Um, but with the bigger ones, we don't. We what my brother was doing last year was he was making as soon as those tomatoes were coming in, he was just making loads and loads of tomato soups, like spaghetti bolognese, but all made out of those tomatoes, and it's like the sweetest bolognese that you've ever had. It's absolutely amazing kind of base for yeah, it's just absolutely delicious. Really sweet kind of tomato because it's grown in that sun. It's getting natural sun. It's not getting artificial light or anything like that. It's just absolutely gorgeous. No, okay. Just some more. 4 degrees here, but it goes down to -4 overnight. We're not getting anywhere near that cold. Rob, that's cold, man. -4, that is freezing. 26.6 here in Florida. Lots of rain lately. Are you talking our currency, as in Celsius? Yeah, Gigantimo grow big, but not very tasty. They're very, very bland. How many chickens have I got at the moment? So, I think we've got about 10-ish. About 10-ish, I think. I'm tempted to say about 10-ish. You can refute goals about Temu. You bought anything that plant related? I haven't bought anything from them. Yeah, I just haven't bought anything from them at all. Hmm? Temu. See, as soon as you mentioned buying stuff, right? My wife's like, "Yeah, yeah, where you buying stuff from? I want to buy stuff." Um, let's see, chiliing. I thought I was going to say Chili King. Then, how are you doing? I hope you're keeping well. Um, Thanks very much for coming in. That sucker hack is genius. Um, yeah, I mean, people complain about plants getting leggy, tomato plants, but they're just so resistant and so resilient. That they'll toughen up and they'll be all right. I'm deliberately using my suckers this year because I can only allow 3 trusses a plant. I used to be 6 foot, but now I'm 3 foot now. Brian, let's see, what's the most number of trusses that you've ever had off a plant? I did your sucker advice last year. I've been growing tomatoes since I was a kid. Never knew you could plant the suckers, and I would say I had 50% success with them. See, that's what I do at the end of the season as well. Do you know, if you want to try and prolong the growing as well, do you know, to try and give yourself a bit of blight coverage at the end. Um, there's you can overwinter tomatoes as well. If you, it's a lot of faff, but you can actually overwinter them. Um, my wife makes lots of sauces from our tomatoes and sweet peppers. Oh, sweet peppers. What do you do with the sweet peppers? Because um, my daughter loves eating sweet peppers raw. Do you know? Uh, there was one sweet pepper I grew last year. It was called Onconcino, something like that. Ponconcino, something silly like that. And they were really nice. They were like a yellow tomato, sweet pepper, but not exactly yellow, a bit more orangey. But they were almost striped, like candy striped. They were really cool looking, but my daughter just loves munching them. Um, Look after yourself. Thanks again for being there to reach out. You're very welcome. I mean, we normally do I'm not sure if you said that it's the first time you've been in for a while, but we're normally live every Friday here. But we're we're going to be taking a break for the next 5 weeks for Ramadan, and then we'll be back again. Indulgent Sultan. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. What ward in Leeds am I a councillor? I'm not a councillor. I'm a candidate for the Green Party in Gipton and Hare Hills. But I've got a very good chance of getting in this year. A very good chance of getting in. Um, it gets addicted. That team will. I've slowed down a bit now. See, you've got a wicked laugh, proper wholesome giggles. I used to work with a guy, a really cool guy, um, and he used to call it the Mutley Chuckle. Yeah, yeah. Um, I better reach out and send him a message actually, see how he is. But yeah, no such thing as a leggy tomato plant. See, do you know when the tomato plant's a little bit thinner as well, you can just wind them up your bamboo cane, or you can wind them up a string much easier than a thick plant. 'Cause sometimes you get like really thick plants, and then you're trying to wind them up and they snap. Um, but my wife works down at Kirkstall Farm, and they've got these giant polytunnels, probably about 15 foot high, mm, if maybe even taller, and they've got tomato plants going all the way to the top, and they're getting like 10 trusses off a plant. Really impressive tomato plants. Indulgent Sultan, where are you based in Leeds? Excuse me. Question, red leaf dwarf plant. Does it produce fruit? I'm not sure what plant that is. Red leaf banana plant. See, I'm not sure which variety it is, but there are some varieties of bananas that can produce fruit. Um, I don't know if I've spoken about this, but do you know Leeds General Infirmary? Um, Leeds General Infirmary have like in the middle of their hospitals, they've got this little garden space, and they've got massive banana plants in there, and they're always getting bananas growing. It's really they've got like a tropical garden in there. Um, they've got lots of bamboos and lots of bananas and lots of spiky other kinds of spiky plants, but they've always got bananas fruit in there. But I think they're benefiting from the microclimate of being, confined within the walls of those, the hospital walls that's giving in that extra that there's a house down in Hare Hills, and it's a terraced house, so they haven't got a massive garden. They've got like a tiny little garden, and I think she must be growing in some kind of raised bed or in some kind of container. But she's got tomato plants, not tomato plants, banana plants, and she's getting fruit from hers. I don't know if they ever managed to mature, but yeah. My in-laws are based in Chapeltown. The only reason I was asking was because I was gonna buy a house in the area you would cover because I've been following you for a while and Marshall. You see, there's parts of Gipton that are really nice, There's some really nice parts of Gipton, and a lot of people are moving back to Hare Hills now. One of the bad things that happened in Hare Hills was it became a rental market, so a lot of landlords were just putting in tenants and not looking after the houses. But I was speaking to an estate agent not so long ago, and he was saying that he's seeing a lot of people actually moving back to the area. So once you start getting people who are actually going to live and stay there, they start to take care of it a bit more, and that'll be a really nice thing that if we get a bit more of that instead of just being concentrated on rental market. Um, so how can you start desi vegetables now? What were you planning on planting? There's some that you should start now. If you're gonna grow things like hyacinth beans, those things definitely start now. If you're gonna grow okra, definitely start now. Aubergine, definitely start now. If you're gonna grow bottle gourds and stuff like that, wait another week maybe. Oh, it's the 8th of March, not the 1st of March. Maybe wait a week. I know my mum had our seeds out today. I've not I've not spent a lot of time sowing this year. So far, it's my mum who's doing a lot of the sowing. Um, so there are a lot of seeds that you can plant now. And yeah, get planting. Over this week, over the next week, the week after, you should be able to plant most of your seeds now. You have the big green one. Mine never grow tall enough before winter come. See, do you know the one that you're talking about? I think I had a similar banana plant, and it's about 2 years old. Last year it overwintered in the greenhouse quite fine, and this year I think the frost has just killed it completely. Um, when are you starting the live chat so I can show that? Eh? What do you mean, Derek? I didn't quite follow that comment. Uh, Banana plants I grew from seed last October, but I don't expect them to fruit. What kind of bananas did you get, Brian? You saw marigolds in a greenhouse. Yes, saw them, saw them, saw them, saw them. Um, some people actually saw them in autumn and then they overwinter them. But sow your marigolds now. They'll yeah, they'll really appreciate it. Hmm. Infinity, the rural rider, is in the house. How are you doing, man? Hope you're keeping well. Um, we're all right. We're hanging in there. We're doing all right. How are you keeping? Sikimensis. That's the variety. Okay. So I'm thinking of bringing a dwarf mango tree from India. Do you think it'll fruit in the UK? The problem you're gonna have here is even if you can manage the temperatures, is the summer. You're just not gonna get enough light through the season. Um, through the whole year. You're gonna get loads of light in the summer days, but from October to February, March, you're just not gonna get enough light, and that's the biggest problem with things like bananas. Not bananas, mangoes, because I've got jackfruit and mangoes that I've grown, and the longest I've managed to keep them alive is about 4 or 5 years. And I grow them every year, and it's always a disappointment when they die. So even if you can keep them alive over winter, like, by bringing into a house or bringing them somewhere excuse me, somewhere that doesn't freeze, it's the light that kills them, or it's the lack of light that gets to them the most. Found a lot of buddleia last week, and I wondered if the branches were put through the shredder, would the buddleia chips be suitable for making paths and even putting into hotbeds? See, buddleia branches break down really easy, so if you put them through the shredder, yeah, absolutely fine to go into a hotbed. Um, I don't like I don't like it for paths because it just breaks down too fast. Um, but what I tend to do with buddleia sticks is because they normally grow quite straight and quite long, is I use them as canes first. So maybe get a year out of them as canes, and then I shred them. Or yeah, and then you sort of getting two uses out of it. Is it okay to heat lettuce seed under a heating mat? It's okay, but in at this time of year you don't need to. So if you're gonna grow lettuce seeds inside, just on a cold windowsill, it should be plenty warm enough with the heat from your house just to get them germinated. I mean, to get them germinated, you don't even need a windowsill. Just move them away from any drafts, anywhere cold. Put them underneath essential heating or something, and they'll germinate fine under there. And then once they've germinated, then move them from there onto your sunny windowsill. But I wouldn't personally for lettuce and these kind of plants. I wouldn't waste heat space for it, because they just don't need it. My first year growing, I thought I had loads of tomato plants. It was loads of coriander. Oh, no way. Um, so I'm downloading an app off Play Store that scans the plant and tells you what plant it is. Have you ever used it? I've never used one. But with the tomato plants and the coriander, squeeze the leaf and you get a very distinct smell from tomatoes. Once you've smelt it a few times, um, the smell will never go. You'll recognize it. So where am I from? Back home, I think I'm supposed to say. My family's from Bangladesh. Um, we've picked up some guttering for the shed from Fee Cycle. Have you done videos about collecting rainwater? No, but I need to. I really need to. I've got some guttering on I've no, not on anything. I've got some guttering. I just need to put it onto my greenhouse. So yeah, I was gonna say I've got some guttering on my greenhouse, but I've got some guttering for my greenhouse that I just need to put on. I just picked up. Someone's dropping question marks. I don't know why you're dropping question marks. You need to ask a question for me to be able to answer it. If you just drop question marks, I don't know what you're asking. Um, Lettuce will germinate fine in an unheated greenhouse. Now, there you go. You've got an expert answering. You asked me what? I don't know what you asked me. I didn't see your question. Um, Julian Assange, do I know about him? Yes, I know about him, but not in a great amount of detail. Um, but what I do know is it's an attack on free press. Um, that's a bad cough, very chest. It is Derek is nasty at night time. The doctors won't see me because I think it's COVID. But I've done a COVID test. It's not according to the test. It's not COVID. And then they say it's just a bug, so I should be able to get over it. That's what they said. Um, um, why don't you educate yourself? I just told you it's an attack on free press, and we're doing plenty of work to fight for freedom of the press. Uh, yeah, it can happen. Plant lots of seeds, and if you don't label them from your scratching it, yeah, I'm with you on that. That's one of my big mistakes. Or, you know, it's what happens with my tomatoes every year. I plant loads, and I'm really good about labeling them when I plant the seeds, right? And then once I planted the seeds, um, and they're getting into a decent sized plant, and then I pot them up. Initially, I'm fine with the labeling, and I've done really well. It's once I've potted them up, that's when you forget which one's which, and then you start handing plants out and sharing plants with people, and you end up with not, all of one variety. This stream is focused on gardening. Okay, so when I go live off my other TikTok, that's why I set up another TikTok. So when I go live off that one, then come and ask these questions, and I'll give you a proper detailed answer on them. Okay. Um, so the cooking is here. Bee swarm season. Get a bucket with a dab of tea tree oil. They'll fill a bucket. Give me in here. No, I won't give you in here. Okay. When I'm live on my other TikTok, then you can come and ask these questions, and we'll have a proper chat. I don't just give you in here just because you say. Okay. Um, Freebies, people sell them for about 300 quid. What are you, a scholar or something? Something. Okay. Hmm. See, cooking. If you have you managed to catch bees like that? Um,
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam. You okay, buddy?
Oh, sorry.
What? You okay?
Yep,
What? You happy with the new book?
yep.
Is it good?
You know how there's this little paper thing on the front cover?
Yeah.
So that keeps getting uneven with the actual book part, and it gets a bit annoying.
Yeah, that's what happens
You
with
have to
these
deal with the
sleeves.
you have to deal with it with Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince that Khadija has, and the Percy Jackson, the Chalice of the Gods.
Yeah, it does that with the sleeves. It is a bit annoying, and especially when it bubbles up like the way you've got it. Um.
Mm.
So, with young fruit plants, do I need to potash, and if I can add it to the top and allow water to soak through, or should I mix it in? So, with a lot of fruit plants, you don't need to add potash. Most of the if you're adding plenty of compost, you're normally adding plenty of potash. Um, so I wouldn't go and buy potash. Do you know if that makes sense? If you've got wood ash handy, then add that into your compost and just mulch with a good layer of mulch. If you mulch around the trees, and that should feed through the plant, feed the soil and feed the plant. Mulching in autumn time is brilliant. I'm a big one when it comes to mulching. So as long as you're adding lots and lots of mulch, then you shouldn't need to feed with potash like that. But if you need to add it, then there's a couple of things you could do. You could either, you know, you could either mix it with water and add it like a water, a water-based feed, or again, you can just mix it into the top layer of the soil and allow the water to, take it down into the soil. Uh, you're trying to make awareness, but you're trying to make awareness about something on a gardening chat, okay? So go onto the political chat and join me there. We'll talk about this all day long. Right now, I've got an audience that wants to talk about gardening. So, like cooking says, no means no. Uh, um, I'll label every single pot now in case of invasion of vermin knocking everything all over. See, you've always been good at labeling because every time, when I came into your polytunnel, everything's nice and organized. So I've always been impressed by yours. I grew avocado plant once. You can't get it to fruit because it needs male and female plant, but they're a nice plant to grow for a plant in general. Do you know Tony from Simplified Gardening? He's grown avocado plants and he's grown them to maybe about 4 or 5 foot high. Some really nice, impressive plants actually. There you go. It's not you're getting all the advice and it's coming to you for free. Um, anyone know a good place to get cheap, nice big plots with handles in South London? Um, do you know are you talking about the types that I grow potatoes in? Those big buckets with or what a lot of gardeners use to grow potatoes in. The 30-litre pots with handles on the side. You can get them on eBay, or you can get them on Oakland's Garden. Most of us got them from Oakland's Garden. Tony usually has a discount code that you can use. Um, but yeah, you can get them from there, or eBay's a really good cheap place to get them. Or you could always use plastic flexi tubs. They're really good for the same thing as well. They're a bit cheaper. And the other thing is Facebook Marketplace. You might be just keep an eye on Facebook Marketplace. You might be able to pick up a bargain on there. Um, my sister went and got black black bags full of plant pots. So not just the little rubbish ones, little small ones, but she got some really good, probably 5 litre pots, really nice size ones. And I like the 5 litre pots because they're a good size to move decent plants into. Um, really good for smaller varieties of chilies and things like that. So she just got like black bags full of them. Absolutely awesome. I've never managed to get a scoop like that, but she's done it. Um, do I do lives on my other YouTube channel or on my other TikTok? Yes, I do. I do lives on there, not as often, and I don't do them as regular, but I do them. Uh, I don't have regular days. I just whenever I feel like it. Um, can't get a cat. The wife's dog is nasty. I remember that dog. Very loud. Coastal Gardens. How are you doing? Thanks very much for coming in. Um, what else have we got? Seen a video on this about potash. Was going to use the barbecue ash, but gets messy on a windy day. Barbecue, if you're using briquettes or you're using coal, it's not as good because it tends to have a higher sulfur content. So it's not it's and there's a few other chemicals in there that's residual from the coal that's not as good. But if you're using ash, wood ash is a lot cleaner, and that's the thing to use. Um, yeah, coal isn't biochar. Um, see, I'll always look after my books. Look after the cover to protect the book. Short. He's gone now, Brian. But that kid, he loves his books. He's brought a book home from the school library. Apparently, there's only 10,000 copies in the world, and the school library's got one. He's brought one home, and he's just buzzing. He's been buzzing about that all the way home. So he goes to school in Batley. Drove him home, and for half an hour, all he's been going on about is this book, and he can't wait to get home so he can read it. Um, bit apprehensive. Mark, do you know with young fruit trees, don't worry about them. Normally most soils have enough potash in them. Um, oh, to yeah, that's your computer you just dropped. Why are you trying to carry the computer and a cat at the same time?
The cat is there.
Yeah, give me brownie.
No, my cat. A little bit of advice to cat owners: if you want your cat, if you want your cat to respect you for work, take a packet of cat food because your cat thinks you go hunting. So when you come home with the packet of cat food, your cat will then think you're a successful hunter, and then and therefore will respect you.
How to get a cat to respect you? Carry cat food in your pocket.
Bank hand, you know that?
Yeah, till you drop the computer.
Don't give me that noise, Khadija. Sorry.
Is it too late to plant garlic? Um, if you haven't planted it at all, I'd still plant it. I don't think you're going to get a massive harvest, and I don't think the cloves will fully mature. But just to plant something, I'd still plant something. But ideally, my sort of planting garlic time is September, end of September up to the end of November. That's sort of my planting time. I planted it in December before. I planted it in January before, and it hasn't done as good. Um, so enough to transplant a blackcurrant and a couple of hydrangeas. Perhaps I need a 20 litre. Hydrangeas get massive. Blackcurrants would be all right even in a 10 litre, depending on how small you want to keep it. You know, if you want to keep it compact, yeah, that sort of thing. It'll be all right. Um, I mean, do you know, before I got these black buckets that um everyone grows their potatoes in, I was gonna use flexi buckets, and I was gonna buy, some brightly coloured flexi buckets. So maybe a yellow, purple, green, and just add a bit of different kind of colour to the garden. And then I went and got all these black potato buckets, and then we just use them. Um, yeah, Auckland's garden supplies. So he's saying that works with dogs. Not sure if a cat's clever enough. He's a dog owner. Uh, Brian prefers cats to dogs. I'm a cat man as well. Um, Dave likes both. You can never train a cat, but a cat can train its staff. I know because I'm staff to the cat. Garlic planted now, but could catch up. But lack of frost can prevent it turning into cloves. Um, yeah, so get your garlic planted now, and it might catch up. There's a bit of advice from Brian, but you might just get one big clove instead of lots of little ones. Um, Blackcurrant's about 5 foot. Hydrangea's only a little bit. Uh, The thing is, and with the hydrangeas, if you grow them in a bucket, you'll be able to keep it acidic and get your red hydrangeas. Uh, um, my missus has cats. My mum's owned them, and auntie was classed as a cat woman. But for my dogs, man's best friend. See, what cat? You say you had a French bulldog? Don't know what a French bulldog is, but I like big dogs. Rottweilers.
Yeah, they're like big dogs are just teddy bears, and the small dogs are just gremlins.
Yeah, I like big ugly dogs. Do you like the big? Yeah, I like the uglier the better. Um, mm, I'd love a bull mastiff. I have an American Akita and a Frenchie. Okay, yeah, I'd love a bull mastiff or something like that. The big ugly type dogs. Right. On that note, I'm gonna call it a night. And yeah, so we're gonna be off for the next 5 weeks. I think it's 5 weeks. So towards the end of April, I'll be back on this live. All right. So it's been good speaking to you all, and it's good catching up with everyone. And I'll see you in a few weeks. Yeah. So after Ramadan, I'll see you then. So on that note, I'm gonna call it a night. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.